Hi, everyone. Welcome to this live training where today we're going to be talking about how you can source products in Vietnam and sell in Japan, specifically Amazon Japan and a lot of other marketplaces as well. Now, as you guys know, there's a lot of uncertainty in global supply chains. Especially with China, there's the Suez Canal issue that's happening, which has affected shipping costs. And there's just a lot of volatility. So it's always good to diversify your sourcing destinations as well as your marketplaces. And today, that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. And we've got our very good friend, Gary Huang, joining us for this session today. Hi, Gary. How are you doing?
Good morning. Greetings from Tokyo. How is everybody? Thanks for having me.
Gary's in the sno, he just told us.
It was
Welcome,
snowing in
Gary.
Tokyo this morning. It only snows like once in a blue moon, so it's a
Oh,
rare
wow.
occasion. It's a special day.
Yeah, welcome,
Okay,
Gary. Good
awesome.
to see you again, mate.
Cool. So Gary's actually hosting the Seven Figure Seller Japan Mastermind in which city is it in this time, Gary?
It will be in Okinawa, Japan. Okinawa is known
Right.
as the Hawaii of Japan, and it's also a
Nice.
blue zone. So they know the secret of a long life. You see a lot of elderly people walking down the streets there.
Cool. And of course, as you guys know, we're going to be hosting our Vietnam sourcing trip very soon, just in about 4 weeks from now. And so stick around until the end of this live training because we have a very special offer that we're going to be giving you that will allow you to attend both events at a very, very good price. So stick around until the end and you'll be able to get details of that offer. So what we're going to be doing today is, first off, Marg and I will be talking about how you can source in Vietnam. We have some slides prepared. We'll give you an overview, and then Gary's going to be talking about how to sell in Japan, just an overview of what products they're selling and how you can set up your Amazon Japan account, etc. And then we'll take questions. We've got quite a few people who've pre-registered for this webinar, so we know that there's a ton of interest and we've got a lot of questions. Hopefully, most of the questions that we've got from pre-registrants will be addressed during the sessions, but in case they're not, we will be taking questions. So feel free to type in your questions in the chat box wherever you're, in the comment section wherever you're watching, and we'll be addressing questions as well. Okay, so let's get started with the very first topic. So we're going to be talking about how to source in Vietnam. So first of all, why should you consider sourcing in Vietnam? Now, this is a chart that just shows the consistent growth in exports from Vietnam. So as you can see, from 2011 until 2022, exports have consistently been growing from Vietnam. And of course, once, when the US-China trade war started, that's when a lot of importers were looking at alternative markets, and that also gave sort of a boost to Vietnam's exports. But regardless of those sort of issues, Vietnam's exports have been increasing consistently, and that's for a variety of reasons that we'll also be going into. Vietnam exports by countries. So the United States is the biggest importer, followed by China, South Korea, Japan. Vietnam exports by products. So as you can see in this chart, and this is just to, a lot of these products are not relevant for Amazon e-commerce sellers, but just so that you know, electrical machinery, footwear, clothing, clothing accessories and knitted garments, nuclear reactors. Well, we hope nobody's going to be sourcing nuclear reactors, but that's up there as well. Okay, why should you consider sourcing in Vietnam? First of all, low labor costs. This is one of the biggest reasons. Now, as you can see in the chart here, China's labor costs are much higher than Vietnam's. And in fact, they're almost double of Vietnam's labor costs. So if you do have a product that requires, that is labor intensive, for example, bags, backpacks, that requires cutting and sewing, then Vietnam is a really good option for that. Also, Vietnam has a large, well-educated labor force. And so even though the population is very small, but most of the labor force is very literate and they're very productive. So that also makes a big difference. Also, the government is emphasizing vocational and technical training, and they've got multiple schemes and incentives to allow workers to upskill themselves. Free trade agreements. Now, Vietnam has multiple free trade agreements with different countries. So if you are, for example, sourcing, importing into Europe or UK or even the US, there are a lot of free trade agreements that allow you to import without any customs duties. So that, again, of course, impacts your landed costs. Government incentives for manufacturing. So there are very few restrictions on foreign direct investment, and this has basically helped improve and enhance Vietnam's manufacturing facilities. In fact, in 2022, Vietnam received $25 billion plus in FDI. And so this has also given a boost to manufacturing. And the government has, in fact, focused on specific categories such as textiles, garments, IT, automobiles, etc. All right. Vietnam versus China. So, as I mentioned, low labor costs in Vietnam, that is one of the biggest benefits, whereas China, increasing production costs. Vietnam has FTAs with many countries, good relations with the US and Europe, whereas in China, one of the main concerns is geopolitical tensions between the West and China. No US trade tariffs, whereas China, there are high trade tariffs, and you never know what might happen, this year or next year with US elections. We've even been hearing rumors of like 60% import duties, but it's anyone's guess what will be the outcome of the US elections and what happens after that. Market share of certain categories has been increasing, for example, furniture and shoes, whereas market share of certain categories of these categories from China has been decreasing, even though the volume that China does is much higher, in certain categories, but certain categories like furniture and shoes, Vietnam is in fact doing really well. In fact, for furniture, Vietnam is very close to China in terms of the overall export value. And in some years, Vietnam even exceeds China as the top exporter of furniture. What are the pros of China and cons of Vietnam? So there's a limited product range, whereas in China you can source anything and everything. Vietnam specializes in certain categories. The infrastructure in Vietnam is quite good, but it could be better. Of course, China has much better infrastructure. Most materials and components need to be imported, and a lot of the natural materials are available in Vietnam, but certain functional fabrics and certain specialty materials need to be imported from China. But this doesn't really, it's not a big issue because of the proximity with China. So imports can be done pretty easily and quickly. All right. So, Mark, I'm going to hand it over to you for this one.
Okay, thanks, Megla. Now I'll just quickly go through the figures on this, and the slides will be available if you've registered, you'll be able to get the slides, so you can go back and read all the figures instead of us going through them line by line. But exports of wooden furniture in 2022 was 16.5 billion. So it is a substantial amount, and there are a lot of wooden products and a lot of wooden furniture. As Megla has said, it's very high. Do you want to just go on to maybe the next slide? I'll have a look at what you can get. That chair is available. It's in the photo on the right. And then there's some really different, like I suppose, unusual types of furniture, like that coffee table up on the left. There's a lot of children's furniture, tables, chairs, dining suites, things like that. Some beautiful coffee tables with a little bit of ornate work on them. And then anything like chopping boards, anything for the kitchen. As you can see on the left, there's lots of different things for home and kitchen, a lot of wall art and bar sets. And that's a folding picnic table, which folds up to nothing. It's a really great little table. We've actually been to the factory that makes those, and that's really something good. Next slide, please. Okay, now this is something that's fairly unique to Vietnam, is a lot of bamboo, rattan, wicker, seagrass and hyacinth products. And there's $474 million in exports. Now, these are totally labour intensive, as you can imagine. So this is a good costed product. So here we've got things like, you can see on the right-hand side, there's cat scratching posts and cat baskets, there's dog baskets, a lot of laundry products and a lot of storage trays and containers and things, all made out of the different types of rattan and seagrass and things. And I love the rocking horse in the middle. I think it's rather cute. It's a bit different. Next slide, please. Okay, mother of pearl inlay. Now, this is something that I fell in love with. There was a fantastic stall at the Global Sources Fair that had the mother of pearl inlay, and that's so something different, something you're not going to find in a lot of places if you're looking to diversify and do something that's a little bit out of the box. Next slide, please. Lacquerware, once again, fairly Vietnamese orientated, and you can see there's some fantastic trays, vases, bowls, jugs, and lots of things. And then on the left is an unusual bar set, like so you can store your wine bottles, and then on the top is a beautiful lacquerware sort of container that holds a corkscrew and all you need. So I think that's something a bit different as well. Next slide, please. Coconut shell. This is something if you were looking for, I suppose, for nurseries, gardens, a lot of planter type things. There's bowls, candles, and the cute little baby basket thing in the middle there, which I think is rather sweet. Bit different again. They do some unusual things that you wouldn't see elsewhere. Ceramics and bone china. We actually spent a sort of day at Bat Trang, which is up in the north where they make most of the china, and there's some fantastic products there, and there was so much that would go so well in Japan. There was at the particular factory where most of these products that are on show are made. They do all the beautiful dishes like you would see in a Japanese restaurant. So I think that that's something that's really, really a unique thing from Vietnam to Japan. Next slide, please. Clothing and textiles, 45 billion in exports in 2022. And look, they make so many different types of clothing, and a lot of the multinationals are making their clothes out of there now. So you'll find virtually any clothing you want can be made. And we do see a lot of that at the Global Sources Fair. When we're there, there's quite an array of clothing there. Next slide, please. Footwear, another big sort of market is footwear. It's very big, and obviously Nike, Adidas, a lot of the major players are now producing their shoes out of Vietnam. And look, you can get anything from flip-flops to sandals, high-end luxury leather shoes, and just sneakers, and you can actually get them made in a day. Megla and I both got some shoes and sandals made in a day, and they're fantastic shoes. They're really lovely, so, and very good price. Next slide. Backpack suitcases. Now, that's another really good niche if you're looking to diversify out of China with things like backpacks because of the tariff and things, and it's more labour intensive, so it's going to be a lot cheaper. And they do, well, if you go on to the next slide, Megla, we can just have a look at what you can get. Like you can get suitcases, you can get sporting bags, kids bags, leather, anything, a lot of backpack type things, and also sort of computer cases and things like that. So there's it's open to whatever you want, and you can also get them done in like hyacinth grass and rattan and things like that. So they also do, and cloth bags that are embroidered and things like that. So there's a lot of variety in the bags and backpacks. Next slide. Packaging, another big thing they do, and a lot of people actually, they do 1.7 billion in annual exports. A lot of people actually have their packaging made in Vietnam and use it around the world. So, and the particular photo that we have there, they just made some beautiful, I just kept going back to this store every few hours to just play with all the packaging, because it was just amazing the different ideas they had at that particular supply that was there. So next slide, please, Megla. Okay, plastic and rubber goods. So obviously there's virtually anything you want made out of plastic or rubber, $5 billion in annual exports. So a lot of, dog toys, home, bowls and plates and things like that. They do a lot of sunglasses are made in Vietnam, and you can have plastic injection, or they actually do extrusion and welding as well. And there's quite a lot of rubber manufacturers also in Vietnam. Next slide, please. Electronics. They do all this $1.131 billion in exports, but it's probably not for anyone watching. These are more the multinationals. We've got things like, TVs, cameras, laptops, things that we probably wouldn't be dabbling in. But if you're wanting just some small electronics like earbuds and stuff like that, China would still be the place for the smaller buyer. They're mainly honing in at the moment to the bigger manufacturer type people. Next slide. And more products you can get. There's iron and steel, there's rubber and plastic, construction, you can get coffee, seafood, hotel and restaurant porcelain. We actually found an awesome supplier if you're looking to do something into that as a sort of distributor or a wholesale area. They have some fantastic white porcelain, and there's marble, and there's also around Da Nang in the middle of Vietnam, a lot of embroidery, like tablecloths and table runners and things like that. There's a lot of that manufacturing there as well. Next slide, please. Okay, production hubs. Okay, so about a third of the manufacturing is actually done in Ho Chi Minh City and surrounding, about a couple of hours out of Ho Chi Minh. Many types of products are produced in the south, but the ceramics that we were discussing before, they come from the north, from Bat Trang, which is just outside Hanoi. Bamboo, cane, rattan, tea, spices there in the north, and some down around Da Nang. Lacquerware is in both. You can find that we found those were sort of spread out. Leather and athletic shoes are mainly around Ho Chi Minh, and clothing comes from more the central and the south. Just have a quick look at the map if anyone's not familiar with Vietnam. So if you see there, Hanoi is there at the top in the North Zone, and 22% of the GDP comes from there. In the centre, around Da Nang, there's 5.35%, and 37.7% comes from Ho Chi Minh and surrounding areas. Now, most of the seaports there's ports for each of those destinations. So if you're shipping out of there, you can usually ship from either of those three cities. I think that's it for me, Megha.
Yeah, awesome. So great. I'm going to stop sharing screen. So that was our Vietnam overview. And now, Gary, we're going to pass it over to you to go over your slides. And we can see your slides. Do you want to just go full screen?
Yes, thank you so much, guys. Excellent
Yep.
overview of Vietnam. And I also saw that in the comments, one user from Facebook said, "Today I was literally about to ask for help in launching in Japan. Perfect timing." Yes, that's right.
Awesome.
Yeah. And another comment, I think from Payman S, said, "This is amazing. I have been living in Vietnam since last September and saw tremendous opportunities there. Even though I have stepped away from e-com, the allure of getting back is getting stronger and stronger. Perhaps this is the push I needed to get back in the game." Well, maybe today is a
Yes.
special day for
Yeah.
you guys. Stars
Today.
This is a sign. This is a sign, Payment. We've come in your
This is
feed.
a sign. Yeah, remember this day. Remember it. Go team. All right. Okay, let's get into this. So we talked about the reasons why. The whole world is changing, and today I'd like to introduce, first off, why you should consider selling in a new marketplace. Because as of 2024, I mean, what got you here won't get you there going forward, right? So if you see the big companies like Apple, they're making shifts in their supply chain diversification. They're diversifying their sourcing, not just in China, not all their eggs in one basket. Vietnam is one of the biggest destinations for the reasons that you just learned. And at the same time, there's also certain advantages in new marketplace. So today I wanted to highlight Amazon Japan. It may not be for everybody, but I think for some people, it could be a good fit. So I'd like to introduce what I call the 6 bridges to sell into Amazon Japan. But first off, let's talk about why sell into Amazon Japan. So first off, as we briefly touched upon earlier, there's a whole shipping supply chain fiasco going on in the Suez Canal. There's pirates firing rockets at container ships in the Red Sea. So it's causing like a big diversion. If you're sourcing products from Asia, let's say going to Europe, previously you could take the shortcut, right? The Suez Canal to get into Europe. But now you have to go the long way. You have to go all the way down south, past the southern tip of Africa called the Cape of Good Hope, and then all the way up around. So that adds about 20 days to your container. So you're looking at possibly 80 days to get your container from Asia to Europe, which is a very long time. So I know some people are not sourcing, not shipping to Europe, they're shipping to the US. Well, there's a ripple effect in the cost of the container prices. You can see from this chart taken from the Flexports Baltic Index, right? Container prices are skyrocketing since December. We're seeing 2x, 3x, even quadruple prices So right now is the time to optimize your supply chain. And my personal background, I used to work in sourcing and supply chain for over 11 years when I was in Shanghai. There's a saying in the supply chain community: the real money is made in the buying. The real money is made in the buying, not just in the selling. So if you think about that, it does make sense in terms of your sourcing, your shipping, and your whole supply chain. So I wanted to just highlight on the map, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand this, guys. If you look on the map, Japan is China's neighbor. So literally, it's super close. It only takes 7-10 days to get a container from China to Japan, whereas going to US from China to USA, it takes 30 to 45 days. If you're sourcing from Vietnam, I would approximate, it could be a few more days longer, right? But the long story short is you're going to get your shipping times slashed, really reduce your shipping times and also reduce your shipping costs because it's closer, it's cheaper for all of the fuel, all of the cost, etc. Right? So Japan has very efficient logistics. Okay, that's number one. Number two is Japan's the fourth biggest Amazon marketplace in the world. So Japan is after US, Germany, and UK, Japan's number 4. So if your question is there enough demand in Japan? Well, let me just highlight. In Japan, there's 126 million people living here, okay, which is double the population of the UK. And then in Japan, Amazon.com has become the number 1 e-commerce shopping site in Japan. It's very common to see those Amazon delivery vans. You see a whole bunch of packages left on people's doorsteps. You see like those Amazon lockers here in Tokyo. They have same-day delivery, next-day delivery for free. Amazon is really dominating the whole online e-commerce and logistics because the local Japanese players like Big Camera, Yodobashi, they simply can't compete. They don't have the wherewithal. They can't do like next-day delivery. Like when I furnished my apartment in Tokyo, like it takes 5 days for them to deliver a TV from the local electronics store, whereas Amazon was next-day delivery for free. And I had to pay from the electronics store. So Amazon is really making a big splash in Japan right now. And at the same time, there's not that many sellers selling in Japan yet. So according to this study from Statistica, Japan was ranked number 8 in the number of sellers. So it really means that, it's the 4th biggest market, but in terms of the competition, it's ranked number 8. So there's a big blue ocean opportunity right now selling into Japan. And the competition, the ones that are here, usually they're not as competitive, they're not as strong. So there is a lot of room for to sell into Japan. And I did an informal poll of 230 of Amazon sellers in our community. Out of that, there were only 13 people out of 230 that were selling in Japan. So really, not a lot of people are selling in Japan. This is a really great opportunity. Okay, I want to give you an example of the low level of competition, right? So everyone knows like the richest are in the niches. That's why everyone says selling on Amazon US, right? You really have to niche down. You can't just sell yoga mat. Well, we put that saying to the test for Japan. So in fact, we did a side-by-side study of search term thick yoga mat, Amazon.com US, the bestseller versus Amazon.co.jp, Japan, the bestseller. Okay, so you can clearly see on the left, guys, the number 1 bestseller, thick yoga mat in the US, was ranked 4.6 stars, 75,632 reviews. That's a pretty competitive niche, if you ask me. I don't know about you guys. Okay, you got to have a lot of money to burn to go against someone like that. But if you look at the same best-selling thick yoga mat, search term in Japanese, this is bestseller, 3.9 stars, only 373 reviews, right? Think about that. 3.9 stars, 373 reviews versus 4.6 stars, 75,632 reviews. Who would you rather compete against? I mean, given the same time and effort, right? I mean, you really don't need to be the best seller in the world, guys, to compete against competition like this. And the reason this yoga mat is the best seller is just because there isn't that much competition. Like they don't have a better option, right? So if you are already selling, let's say in the yoga mat niche, and you have more reviews, you can carry over those reviews into Japan. You can possibly dominate, right? So it is still a huge opportunity in Japan. And this also translates over with the lower competition. It means lower PPC costs as well. So I know everyone is, paying to play in Amazon, right? You really have to, I mean, like you see all the sponsored search results dominating, most of the real estate on page 1, right? But in Japan, we're seeing a lot lower average cost per click, as low as 29 cents a click, right? So that's really unheard of, right? Maybe like 10 years ago in the US, that was like that, but it's like that in Amazon Japan today. Okay. And then last but not least, everyone knows about the increasing Amazon fees, right? Going into 2024, a lot of sellers are losing their pants, right? They didn't pay attention to the new fees, or, the new fees are going to come very soon, right? In fact, I had a live training with Chelsea Cohen from SoulStock, and she's an Amazon fees expert. She really broke it down for us. So like 3 of the newest fees that are going to make a big impact in your selling account on Amazon are the inbound placement fee, the low inventory level fees, and the aged inventory surcharge fees. Okay, so we did a side-by-side comparison, Amazon US versus Amazon Japan, the fees. You can see Japan has significantly less fees, right? Inbound placement fees in the US, 68 cents a unit. In Japan, you don't have to worry about it. They don't exist. The low inventory fee in the US, it hits you when you have only 28 days to 0 days of supply. In Japan, it doesn't hit you until later, 14 days, and the fees are lower. And also the aged inventory surcharge, you have more time to sell in Japan before you hit those fees. So the conclusion is, from a supply chain perspective, from a competition perspective, from a demand perspective, from fees perspective, and advertising perspective, I mean, Japan is a great opportunity for a lot of sellers. So I think it's ridiculous not that many people are selling in Japan. So I wanted to share with you today what I call the 6 bridges of selling into Amazon Japan. If you guys have any questions, feel free to jump in. I saw we had over 130 people RSVP. We had a whole bunch of questions. I think we'll address most of the questions, but if you have any other specific questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay. How are we doing on time, Megla? Like, how many minutes do I have left?
You have about, I don't know, another 5 minutes or so, 5-10 minutes.
Okay, let's breeze through this. Okay, so the 6 bridges of selling to Japan. These are the bridges that every seller needs to cross in order to sell in Japan. Obviously, there are challenges that every seller faces. So these are the 80-20 of selling into Japan. Okay, the first bridge is what I call the product market fit, right? Obviously, you want to make sure your product is going to fit in Japan because there's cultural differences, there's other differences as well. Well, the good news is, number one, Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer in Amazon Seller Central. You can use this in Amazon Japan to gauge the size of the market. And number two, the other good news is if you're already using Helium 10, Jungle Scout, or Data Dive, is they support Japan. They support Amazon Japan. So you can do the same research, the reverse ASIN analysis, the keyword search volume. You can track the ranking of, your competitors' keywords as well. So you can do all of this using probably your pre-existing tool set. Okay. I want to share with you a hack as well. Okay. Not too many people are aware of this, but let's say you're selling a kitchen product and then you want to see how this product is used in the Japanese kitchen. There's a nifty little tool called YouTube. Okay. Some of you guys are probably on that site right now. You can actually go into YouTube and you can type in, tour of Japanese kitchen, or tour of Japanese garden, or tour of, Japanese backyard. You can literally get like step foot, virtually into a Japanese kitchen to see how your product would fit there. Okay. So like in this example, this is a Japanese kitchen, a lady walking through it. And then, do you guys know what this is? This is like a Japanese type product. Do you know what this is?
No.
Can anyone take a guess what this is?
Is it some kind of shaker?
That's a good guess, but no, Kevin. Anyone else want to give it a go? Okay. Rice is the number one, like, most popular, like, carb in Japan, right? So people want to keep their rice super fresh. So this is a device that you put in the rice to prevent any insects from growing in it. And I believe it controls the humidity as well. So this is an example of a product that is very popular in Japan. Okay, so that's product market fit. So these are several tools that you can use to gauge product market fit. And I also wanted to share an example of a bad product market fit. So, I mean, these are taco holders, right? So tacos are popular in the States, right? There's Taco Tuesday, but I hate to break the bad news, guys, but Japanese people don't really make tacos at home. There's very few Mexican restaurants. So if you're selling a taco holder, anything that's like very culturally oriented, it may not be a good fit. So you can use these tools that I just shared with you to get a gauge of that. All right. So that's product market fit. So let's move on to bridge number 2. This is what I like to call Japanification, or, localizing your listings. So localization, it goes beyond translation, you really need to make sure your listings, they're tailored to the Japanese market, their culture, their expectations, also, what they're looking for. And, it goes from everything from your product description to your title to even the images. So you can take this example of this cosmetic brand, Maybelline from New York, right? So for their Japanese market, you can see they've not only translated the text into Japanese, but they also use Japanese models. And I think I don't really know anything about makeup, but I think it's probably more whitening because the Asian standards of beauty are different from the West, and they also use a combination of different Japanese language text. So there's both the hiragana, the katakana, and there's also English as well. So you can see there's like a hybrid blend of the way that listings would localize into Japan. Okay. My tip is to get your translations done. The best thing to do is to hire a translator, a native speaker, not only someone that's a native speaker of Japanese, but also someone ideally that has some Amazon SEO experience. So they know how to optimize your listing for copywriting. So there's a number of agencies out there that can do this, such as YLT with Yana, Ritu Java at PPC Ninja. They also offer Japanese localization services as well for you guys. Okay. We don't have time for this example, so I'm just gonna quickly gloss over it. This was a pop quiz, but this is just an example of a brand that localized to Japanese. KFC actually, they dominate the Christmas dinner market in Japan. Like during Christmas, if you're in Japan, the hardest table to get a booking at is actually at your local KFC because the KFC, like the brand, they were geniuses at because Japanese people they don't have ovens, full size ovens in their tiny kitchens, right? So the next best thing, the KFC marketing people said, hey, go to KFC, you can have nice fried chicken dinner, right? Somehow it resonated and it's a thing in Japan. So this is just one example of a foreign brand that successfully Japanified their product. Okay. All right, let's move on to the third bridge. I know a lot of people had this question because importing into Japan, there's certain import compliance regulations. There's certain rules dealing with certain products that you need to abide by in order to legally import into Japan. So obviously, I don't have time to get into every product category, but as a general rule of thumb, there's 4 key categories that tend to get more scrutiny from the Japanese import regulators. So these are basically anything that goes on the body or anything that goes inside the body. Okay, so these 4 include supplements, cosmetics, medical devices, and any plastic products that touches food or drink. Okay, the first 3 are pretty self-explanatory. Number 4 is even something like a water bottle. I mean, you would think, this thing isn't shouldn't be regulated, but actually it is, because anything that touches water, anything that touches food, it does have some important compliance regulations. So the key thing is to be aware of the compliance and the testing costs. And this really depends on the size and complexity of the product. If it's a product with many different parts, it may be more expensive to test all of them. Okay, so definitely talk to an import compliance specialist. That would be the smartest way to do things. If you do need somebody, I highly recommend a company called Unige, Yunige. They're a Japan-based import compliance specialist, and they can help you walk you through these all of these different compliance regulations and costs. Okay, let's move on to bridge number 4. The next step is to ship and get your product into Japan. So again, remember, Japan is in Asia, so you're sourcing directly from their neighbor, so it's going to be a lot faster. And I'd like to highlight there's free trade agreements between Japan and many countries. So unlike China, which has a trade war with the US right now with the 25% tariffs, and we've heard rumors that the tariffs could go up to 60%, depending on the geopolitics. I mean, all that stuff, that's out of our control, so I'm not going to talk about that. But I just do want to let you guys know that Japan actually has 0 free trade agreement. So that means many of the products can be landed in Japan duty free. So not only are you slashing the 25% tariffs, you could be reducing the additional duties that you're paying if it's 17%. So that could be additional 30-40% cost reduction on your landed costs, right? So that goes to your product margin. That means that you can price more competitively, you can get more profits, and you can afford more ad spend. Okay, so a lot of sellers, they just have become used to paying these duties. But the smart companies like Apple, like these footwear companies like Nike, right? They're getting smart. They're looking at ways to, take advantage of these free trade agreements. It's almost like the duty-free shop at the airport, right? You can get your liquor for less if you know where to, shop around, right? So Vietnam could be one of those destinations, in addition to India and Thailand as well. Okay. The key thing is talking about this importing into Japan. Some people ask, do I need to be Japanese to import in Japan? No. Do I physically have to be in Japan to import in Japan? No. Do I need a Japanese company to import into Japan? No. You can use a foreign LLC. However, it's not as simple as some of the other countries. Okay, you can't just import with a foreign company directly. You have to use what they call a Japanese ACP, or Attorney for Customs Procedures. Basically, this means in case there's anything that goes wrong with the product in Japan, the Japanese government has someone that they can approach to take responsibility. Okay, so normally this ACP is a Japanese company. They're kind of like your importer, and then they can add on this value added service. So this way they can take responsibility for a fee. Okay, so this is something that you have to do. Okay, so I hope that that's clear, but you do not need a Japanese company to do this. All right. Okay, let's move on to bridge number 5. Launch strategy. Someone just asked in the chat. I have no idea what that is. If you have any specific questions, please do drop in the chat. I want to try to get to as many as we can. All right. Bridge 5 launch strategy. Okay. The key thing, and this is such a huge point. I'm so surprised. Like, still a lot of people don't know about this. Ever since Amazon instituted the global review system, which means that you can carry over all of your reviews that you have, let's say in Amazon US, to a new market like Japan or like Germany, right? Ever since they had that, this is such a huge advantage. Okay. The reason is because in Japan, the reviews are a lot lower overall than the rest of the world. The reason is because the lack of competition, as we saw earlier. Okay. So I just want to get a quick survey where everybody watching right now, guys, if you can enter in the chat, okay, for your best-selling product right now, think about your hero SKU. How many reviews do you have on that? Just tell me the number of reviews. You don't have to tell me the product. I just want to know how many reviews do you have on your best-selling SKU. I'll give you guys a minute to drop that in the chat. All right. How are we doing on time, guys?
Yeah, we can go for another 5 minutes. Keep going, Gary. That's okay.
You do bridge 6.
Okay.
Information.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, do all the
So
bridges for sure.
Yeah, we'll cover all the bridges, but I just want to know. Okay.
Yeah.
Oksana says 585. That's very good. Okay. And how does that look like against the competition? Like, are you one of the ones with the most reviews? Like, are you high, are you medium, or are you low in comparison? I'm curious. Okay, while Oksana does that. The key thing I wanted to highlight is when you do carry it over to Japan, you need way fewer reviews to compete in Japan than you do in the US. Okay, I'll give you another example: baby diapers or nappies, depending on where you are in the world. Right? Amazon US, the Pampers brand, they have 70,486 global reviews. Amazon Japan, at the time of this, they only had 13 reviews. Right? So the competition is a lot lower. Right? Oksana says 585 reviews. She's medium, right? She's probably in the middle of the pack. I'm pretty sure if you went to amazon.co.jp, if you search for your main keyword in English, I'm pretty sure 585, you'd be around the top of the pack, right? If you entered your product in Japan. Obviously, every product is different, but just the fact that you have those reviews and you can carry them over into Japan, that will put you at a huge advantage. What does this mean? This is social proof, because in Japan, people don't really like to, be the first to try something like a product for 0 reviews. But if they see there's social proof, there's 585 reviews, then they get more confidence, right? And that means you'll have higher conversion rates even when you launch. That means lower PPC costs. It just makes everything else easier, right? So I really wanted to highlight this point, guys. People like Oksana, even if you don't have the highest number of reviews in like Amazon US, for example, if you come in Japan, you could be ranked near the top, from day one. And that is like a huge launch strategy, because one of the biggest pain points is getting more reviews, right? So you can you launch with the reviews you already have. All right. Okay, let's move on to the bridge number 6 is to optimize your sales and marketing in Japan afterwards. Okay, so again, remember, Amazon PPC in Japan, because of low competition, overall costs are lower than US and Europe. And then there's also opportunities with new types of promotions, ads, bid management, and then there's also in-depth data that you can use for analysis and optimization. And also, you can really take advantage of external marketing. Influencer marketing is very big in Japan. Like Japan, like it has like a collectivist mindset. People really like to follow the pack, right? Like you'll see this, like there's like a donut pop-up shop that will open in like central Tokyo. There'll be like a line of like 50-70 people, and it just gets longer and longer and longer. People really like, if they see something that there's a big following, like also with influencers like on YouTube, for example, they really follow the leader when it comes to that. So influencer marketing is very effective in Japan. Social media is the key. These are some examples of influencer marketing that you see all over on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram. Okay, all of these work, and we see like Sony, Hasbro, avocado from Mexico, Turtle Beach competition. I don't even know what that is. This is from Ritu Java, PPC Ninja. So these are all examples. But at the same time, I want to share with you, there's actually a native Japanese social media app that is the number one player. Everybody's on it. Their mom is on it. Their kids are on it. It's called Line, Line. Okay, this is kind of like Facebook, like WeChat on steroids, and you can actually open up Line accounts using your company, and you can leverage your Instacarts with this to build an audience. One of the people that attended our conference last year, he followed one hack that he learned from a $40 million a year Amazon Japan seller. He was able to build a line list of 7,000 people since last year. Just one tip, and he's able to retarget those people with sales, get more sales, and also product launches. So it's a really great way to grow your business and taking advantage of these external marketing. Okay. Yeah. So those are the 6 bridges. Should I talk about the 7th bridge, the Japan conference now, or what should we do next?
Let's go into the products. How about
Okay,
that?
let's do that.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll stop my screen share then.
Yeah. Guys, let us know if you have any questions. What we're going to do now is share some of the products that we found on Amazon Japan. And we don't have too many products to share, but we just did this exercise where we searched for some products on Amazon Japan. And then we asked our team in Vietnam to go find the products from suppliers in Vietnam and to get just estimated pricing. So just to give an example, there's a cat tower that we found on Amazon Japan and was selling for around close to $50, $47 or so. And then you can source it for around $10 to $12 in Vietnam. Of course, there are lots of variables, and this is just a ballpark figure for sourcing. There's the materials, the dimensions, the quantity. There's so many different variables, but just to give you an idea, you can source this for between $10 to $12 from.
And just
Vietnam.
to add to what Megla said, I mean, besides the price advantage you have, these products are some examples of products that are bestsellers in Japan, but within like page 1, I saw sellers with like 30 reviews or some like 10 reviews, and then they're ranked on page 1 for the main keyword in Japanese for cat tower. Okay, so we're not just saying, hey, these are some stuff that you can source. These are real opportunities that I found, right? I mean, literally, you could even like do the research yourself right after this. And you can even potentially start selling this. I mean, please give me credit if you do, or please give us credit if you do. But these are real life opportunities. We're not just like theoretically putting some stuff on the screen. You know what I mean? So I hope you guys get like a flavor of what the potential is right now. Okay, yeah, but this is good. Let's keep going.
Well, the other category that we found was wooden toys, and there are, of course, a lot of different types of products that were very popular. And Vietnam is really good with wooden toys, and we've got some really fantastic factories that produce wide range of toys, very high quality, exported to the US, to Europe, and so this is another category that you can look into. wooden toys. All right. Next, yeah, this is so also wooden toys. We thought this price was pretty good, so 2.54, and then it was selling for about $26 on Amazon Japan. A
I believe
similar
the search
product.
term was Montessori toys, like Montessori, like,
Yeah,
the pre-kindergarten learning system. This is
yeah,
another trending product that we're seeing in Japan.
right. Then we also had in the pet categories, there was dog beds, the cat towers, cat scratching posts, a
This
lot of
product, okay,
opportunity in
let
pet
give you a
products.
side note. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Megla, for interrupting.
No, no,
One
no,
of
go.
the one of the seven-figure sellers that I know selling in Japan, he's like, don't tell them this product because one of my clients is actually selling this product. This thing is a real opportunity, guys. I mean, if you're watching this, I'm serious. This is a real freaking opportunity. Somebody said, please don't share this because this is a real product with low competition. The number one bestseller. I don't know if you have the research I shared with you. Like, literally, it had like a stupid low rating. I mean, this is such a simple dog bed, guys. Literally, there's no
Yeah.
design to it. There's no like anything to differentiate it. This is the best selling product in Japan. I mean, if anyone is selling a dog bed in the US that is better than this and it has let's say a couple thousand reviews, I mean, if I were you, I would just get you. Please come to the conference. We'll have everybody to help you. You could be our next case study. You could sell like $900,000 this year. I mean, this is ridiculous. But okay, yeah, please keep going.
Yeah, so those were the few
It's sourced
examples
for
that we had in the
$4. I mean, it's
categories.
ridiculous. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous. You source it for $4. You're selling it for 22.
yeah,
Pets are huge. One of the people that are coming to the conference, she's in pet. She's very excited because dogs are huge in Japan. And literally there's no design here. Come on, guys. I'm sure. I mean, you guys are, Megla and MMK, they're teaching you a lot of stuff. I'm sure you guys can do much better than this. Right.
Yeah, and I
So
think too,
really a
with
great
pets,
opportunity, guys.
you could do
Yeah.
leads and other things as well. And the pet carry bags, there's a lot of other pet products that I can just think
Yeah.
of straight away, like the little carry baskets for the little dogs that you can take it down the
harnesses.
street. Harnesses,
Yeah.
and they make all those. So there's a lot of opportunity out of Vietnam
Yeah.
for pet products.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
yes.
I haven't
awesome.
seen you get
Okay.
excited like that for a long time, Gary.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a huge opportunity, and this is still the golden era in Japan. I mean, this is turn back the clock 2014. It's a lot more competitive in US, but yeah. I hope you guys are understanding the urgency. I mean, you really can make a huge splash in Japan, right? I mean, obviously there's the language barrier, and there's ways around it, and we're using tools like ChatGPT. I was actually talking to Mark, Kevin, and Megla before. ChatGPT, it's much better than Google Translate when you're doing Japanese English and vice versa. I actually have a parent-teacher conference for my son's pre-kindergarten this afternoon, and I don't really speak Japanese, but my cheat code is ChatGPT on my phone. I'm able to speak eloquently and politely to my son's kindergarten teacher, right? I mean, you can do the same thing with your product listing. I mean, obviously it's better to have a real person, but if you can't do that yet, you can get started, and you can actually use ChatGPT to do competitive analysis on your Japanese competitors. You can extract the keywords. You can do all of that now.
And until
we're obviously we'll share more about this at the
I
conference.
didn't realize that the population of Japan was that high.
126 million people, double that of the UK.
Yeah,
it's the
I
fourth biggest
honestly
e-commerce market.
Yeah,
Or that they wouldn't have
honestly-
pets.
yeah.
I would have thought with their small living areas that they wouldn't have pets, but obviously I'm wrong.
It's kind of sad, but the birth rate is really declining in Japan. I think a lot of young people they're getting cats and dogs and pets instead. So they're really benefiting. The pet market is really benefiting from that.
Right. Okay, so that's what we had for our presentation. So now we want to talk about the two events that are happening in April. And as I mentioned earlier, we've got a special offer where we're, if you join either one of them, or if you join both of them, we're offering some discounts. So I'll quickly go over the Vietnam sourcing trip And then Gary, you can talk about the mastermind, and then we'll share about the offer that we have. So, what exactly is Vietnam Sourcing Trip? This is basically your gateway to Vietnam manufacturing and exports. It's a guided tour where you can learn all about sourcing from Vietnam. You can visit factories, you can make connections, and attend the trade show, as well as experience the culture in Vietnam. So, this is basically a great opportunity to start sourcing your products from Vietnam. And we are basically offering you a package that gives you everything you need to start sourcing, to find to meet suppliers and start sourcing from Vietnam immediately. So what are the benefits of attending? First of all, the biggest benefit is you visit pre-qualified factories. So we actually have a team in Vietnam that finds factories, that vets factories, and then we go visit these factories. And we cover a wide range of products, and in fact we're very flexible in terms of the types of factories that we can visit. So if you tell us that, okay, I'm looking for so and so type of product, we can go find a factory for your specific product category and facilitate your visit to that factory. Even if the entire group doesn't want to visit that factory, we can arrange separate factory tours for you as well, based on your requirements. Then, of course, learning the A to Z of sourcing in Vietnam. So we put together a lot of sourcing experts who will talk about how to manage quality, how to manage logistics, how to manage payments, and a lot of these things that, I mean, this information is really not available online. Like, there's a lot of information about China available on YouTube and blogs, but no one's really talking about how to do business in Vietnam. And one of the best ways to learn all of that is to actually go there and see things for yourself. Plus, we'll also introduce you to our Rolodex of vetted and trusted service providers, such as logistics companies, quality control. We ourselves offer sourcing services in Vietnam, so we can even help manage your entire sourcing process. After the sourcing trip, if you need any support, we're there to help you. Then, of course, we visit an export-focused trade show where you can see thousands of home, gift, and fashion products. And what we really like about this trade show is that it is entirely export-focused. There are a lot of other trade shows being held in Vietnam, but they are also domestic-focused. But this is the only one that is totally export-focused. So all the companies there, they have export licenses. They know how to ship products out of Vietnam, and the products and designs that they have on display, they are catered to overseas buyers. You can also join information sessions with sourcing and e-commerce experts, engage with brands who are already buying from Vietnam. In fact, one of our e-commerce experts who's joining us is Ben Leonard, and he is sourcing his latest product from Vietnam. We're also going to be joined by Lynn Sundin for a couple of days. She's also sourcing her products from Vietnam. So you can actually learn from people who are currently in the process of building their brands with made in Vietnam products. Understand the pitfalls to avoid, cultural differences. Vietnam is very different from China. So this is something that will definitely benefit you. And of course, the food. Vietnam is well known for amazing food. And I know this is Marg's favorite part as well. And she can probably live on rice paper rolls. But this is something else that, is part of the trip. Okay, I won't play this video, but we do have a video, and we'll share these slides with everyone so you can take a look at the video later on. Now, we have 3 different options for the Vietnam sourcing trip. So we've got the full trip, which is a 10-day trip. So it's 9 nights and 10 days. And we visit 3 cities, Da Nang, Hanoi, and Ho Chi Minh City. We do an in-person conference. And the other option that we have is the core trip. So this is a 5-day trip, which is only done in one city, Ho Chi Minh. And this is a 5-day trip, 4 nights and 5 days. So the core trip is basically offering you, fewer factory visits, less time, fewer cities, but it's still giving you all of the information that you need. We're still visiting the trade show in Ho Chi Minh City. So it's offering you, a lot of the information that people get on the full trip, but it's just shorter in case you're short on time and in case you don't want to invest fully in terms of time and money, in case you don't want to invest all of that, then the core trip is a great option where there are certain differences, but you're basically getting all the information and resources that you need to start sourcing in Vietnam. So here are some of the experts that are going to be joining us: Lynn Sundin, Ben Leonard, Margaret, Kevin. We also have Reg and Carolyn Schwenke, who are they're joining us from the US, and they actually have a lot of experience in sourcing in Asia specifically. And then, of course, we have our sourcing experts and logistics and quality control experts as well. So, Gary, I'm going to. We're doing a lot of back and forth here, but that's okay. So, why don't you talk about the mastermind now, and then we will showcase the offer.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm hosting a 3-day in-person conference for Amazon and e-commerce sellers that want to sell into Amazon Japan. It's called the Seven Figure Seller Japan Mastermind. Some of you guys have heard of Seven Figure Seller Summit. This is the online conference that was the award-winning conference that we've done since 2018. We've literally had about 9 events online. This is our second in-person event. Okay, so who is this for? This is really for you if you're an Amazon seller already selling, let's say in the US, already selling in EU, and you want to enter a new marketplace that is Japan. So someone like Oksana, actually, if she has 585 reviews, she's middle of the pack in, let's say, Amazon US, I assume you're selling US, you can probably come in and have a pretty strong launch just outright. And we'll coach you along the way over the 3 days. So you'll learn the roadmap, how to sell up to 965,000 on Amazon Japan. You'll learn launch strategies, external marketing. You'll also, and basically it's A to Z. If you have any questions about import compliance, okay, talk to the lady over there. If you have any questions about localizing my listing, what do I need to do for the translation? Talk to the gentleman over there, right? So literally we'll leave no stone unturned. I'm even thinking of giving like opportunities where you can get an over the shoulder like coaching session from a 7-figure seller selling in Japan already. So literally you'll know exactly what to do after the conference. Okay. So this is really for you if you want to do that. Okay. Here are some highlights from our last year's event in Tokyo. We had this is not a huge event. This is a more intimate event. Okay. There's only going to be a couple dozen people in the room, not more than 100. Okay. By the end of this conference, you'll be able to make connections. You'll be able to find out everything you need to do. Okay. We have sellers like this seller here last year. His name is Kengo. He's selling $40 million a year only in Japan. He only does Japan. He owns 3 bestseller badges in the exercise equipment category, in a supplements category, and in a business briefcase category. Those are 3 of the most competitive ones. And he was sharing like strategies you've never heard anywhere else. Like literally, like I didn't even know this guy like knew the stuff he did. And some of the sellers took what he taught, and then they were able to do like 5-6 figures already, just in Japan. Okay, so you'll learn a lot from people like that. Okay. Also, we'll have an additional fun day where we get to really explore the cultural side of Japan. In the evening, we'll have karaoke. So when in Japan, you got a karaoke. That's one of the highlights of the trip. We'll also have a lot of nice food and drink and sake as well. That's always popular. I had to go replenish the sake supply the first karaoke night, and we definitely will have enough for everyone to be happy and to really get a flavor of Japan. So we have 2 full days of the in-classroom learning. And then on day 3, we have the fun day. So this is a highlight that I personally want to show everybody, like the fun and the cultural side of Japan. So the beauty of Okinawa is they have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world that people don't really know about. So you'll have opportunities to go in the water, to go snorkeling. We'll have some kayaking as well in the mangrove forest nearby. It's a UNESCO heritage site. There's a world famous aquarium. We'll also have opportunities to go to the local shopping mall. Okay, so this way you can actually see, let's say if you're in pet, you can see a local pet store. You can see what type of products Japanese dog owners use. You can see what type of dog beds they have, right? So literally you'll be able to get hands-on, to be able to touch and feel exact products that are selling in Japan. So I think that is priceless. So the fact that we balance the in-classroom with the real world experience to give you the complete Japan Mastermind experience. So this will be 3 full days, April 8th, 9th, 10th in Okinawa, Japan. and you can find out more at the website. And then we have a very special offer because sourcing from Vietnam, as we just learned, could be the perfect partner to selling into Japan for the reasons we mentioned. So, so take it away, Megla and team.
Well, Gary, can I just say one thing? We'd better send Megla because Megla's the only one in our camp that can actually sing. She's a karaoke queen. You haven't
Really?
seen-
Okay. Well,
you
we'll have to
haven't
save the mic for you, Megla. But I mean, to be honest, karaoke is not really like, you know, who's the best singer, but who has like, you know, the most spirit and who has the best time, because
Yeah,
there's a lot of there's a lot of drinks involved as well. So by the end, everyone's a karaoke star. So yeah.
Yeah, Megla's
All
the
right, so
karaoke
here's
queen.
yeah. So here's the special offer that we have for you guys. Now there are two options. You could either attend one of the two events, or you could attend both events and get an even better discount. So let's say you want to attend one of the two events. So in case you want to attend only Vietnam sourcing trip, we're offering a 5% discount. So the full trip, if you share a room with someone, it's $5,000, but you're getting that for $4,750. Full trip single room is $5,500, but the price is $5,225. And the core trip single room is $1,900, so you get $100 off on this one. And we really recommend, you know, trying the core trip. Like if you don't have a lot of time, and if you know, investment is an issue as well, then go for the core trip, because it gives you all of the information, resources, connections that you need to start sourcing without a lot of time and money commitment. And then Japan Mastermind, Gary has been very generous. So the regular ticket is for $16.99, and we're offering it for $12.99 over here for this webinar, for this live training. And you can use the code VST on either website to avail of this discount. So this is one option. You know, if you can't attend both events, you can attend either one of the two events. The second option is an even more special offer that will offer you even more savings. So if you decide to join both events, you know, you want to source in Vietnam and sell in Japan, then we're offering you a 20% discount on both of the tickets combined. So the core, and this is only on the core trip for Vietnam, it's not on the full trip. The core trip, we're offering a $200 discount, and for Japan Mastermind, we are offering the ticket for $1,149, which is a significant discount. Overall, you'll be able to save $750 by attending both events, and this could potentially, you know, even cover your flight costs depending on where you're flying in from. Like if you're in Australia or you know, somewhere nearby in Asia, this could potentially cover your airfare. But if you're coming from the US or Europe, you know, this just contributes to the airfare, but it's a significant saving. It's a $750 saving, or overall 20% saving. However, the catch is that this offer is only available until March 15th, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So there is a time limit, and this is just available for the next 1 week. So Gary, do you have anything else to add?
Where do people go to redeem it?
Yes, absolutely. So the link is here. It's shown on the website. Sorry, on the screen over here, and we'll also put it in the description. We'll send it out by email as well. But this is the link, bit.ly/VST-JM. This is a registration form, and you can go over here to redeem this offer. And it's only $2,949. So two great events, amazing events. And, you know, for the Vietnam trip, this includes everything, including your hotel stay, including food, transportation, including visit to the trade show, the conference, pre-trip training, post-trip support. So it includes everything A to Z. Yeah. Let me just
Can we
quickly
drop it
put
in the chat as well for people watching live?
Yes. I'm just going to put it in the chat too. Yeah.
And knowing all the cost of things, guys, this is fantastic value. You know, even you know, for the whole thing, it's just fantastic value. And what can I say? It's a must attend. Must attend both events.
Yeah, I hope you guys
Those
can
great
join us at
savings.
both events. Megla, should I put the
Okay.
Seven Figure Seller Japan Mastermind.com site in the chat as well?
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Yeah. So guys, take a look at the comments if you're watching from YouTube or other places as well. Let me just put that here too.
Oops. I can't comment in the chat. Maybe
Okay.
if let me put this in.
Yeah. And I mean, I've also got the links over here on this slide. So it's Seven Figure Seller Japan Mastermind.com and VietnamSourcingTrip.com. So those are the two links to get more information about each event and the dates. So Japan Mastermind is April 8th to the 10th. And then Vietnam is 17th to the 26th, or the core trip is 22nd to the 26th.
Perfect. And just to be clear, guys, for the Japan Mastermind, the ticket includes the 2 full days conference. It includes the meals, the lunch, the dinner. It includes karaoke night. It does not include the hotel. We did negotiate the best deal possible at the Hilton in Okinawa, the Hilton Sasoko. It's a beautiful hotel. It's literally on the beach with white sand. So the conference will be literally at the hotel. You guys will be staying on the beach. And we got the lowest possible deal out there, including breakfast as well. So just to be clear, that's what it includes. Okay.
Right. And Mark, what's your favorite part of the Vietnam trip?
Oh, I keep saying the food, but no, I do enjoy going to the factory, seeing the products, and just being in Vietnam. I love Vietnam. It's a really different cultural experience. So it's something different for people to go and see. And it's busy, but it's not busy, I suppose to say.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful country to see. People sort of probably think of Vietnam and think of the war that was a long time ago, but it's a beautiful country, and it's very scenic. It's it's sort of long and skinny, and so they got a lot of coastline, and it's a beautiful coastline. There's lots of nice beaches, from top to bottom. And Marg and I have actually traveled extensively in Vietnam, from south to north, and stopped and stayed in a lot of places in between, and sampled, not just the food, but the people. And the people are just absolutely gorgeous as well. It's like anywhere you go, in the world, the people, even though you don't speak the full language, that they just love to, interact with tourists, and they're very friendly.
And we do have a guide the whole time from when you arrive in Vietnam until you leave. We have a fantastic guy, fun fellow, lots of facts, lots of history. And he is there to organise us when we go to a restaurant, what not to eat, what food's in what food, if you have different requirements, ice in the drink, all those things he can sort any, which isn't as easy with a lot of
How to
places
keep your
where
beer
you're
cold.
trying to speak to people.
How to keep your beer cold while sitting on the beach.
Yeah.
I love Vietnam as well. I've been there twice with my wife. Like both. The last time we went, we stayed in Da Nang. Beautiful beachside town.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a gem because not many people I know. This was 2019, 2020, like pre-COVID. Amazing food.
Very busy now.
Very. I'm sure it's very touristy now, but when we went, it was beautiful.
It is, yeah. And Hoi An,
very
did you go to Hoi
affordable
An?
as well. Yeah, we've traveled from north to south. I mean, I could speak another 30 minutes about Vietnam, but like you're right, the food. I think the food is like one of the most underrated cuisines in the world. Just like the
Yeah.
simplicity, but it's like the prawns. It was so fresh. Like we live in Japan, we can't even find like the same quality of like those like lake prawns that we had in like some small restaurant, in between like Hoi An and Ho Chi Minh City, right? We still have really
Mm.
great memories. I mean, it's just like the stuff that they are able to do with just the simplicity. I'm always amazed by that. So, I mean, I would highly recommend it, not only from the sourcing, you know, the supply chain and getting suppliers perspective, but if you've never been to Vietnam, I think it's Halong Bay was rated, I think, number two, like worth visit site like in the world in
Mm.
TripAdvisor, Halong Bay. I mean,
Yeah.
and check out if you haven't already, the late Anthony Bourdain, like No Reservations, and his feature in Vietnam. I mean, he really gives like a real world perspective, and even like former President Obama sat down like in like a street food like stall having some like noodles. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I love Vietnam. Yeah, highly recommend it, guys.
Well, Megla and Mark, tell Gary about the on How Long Bay, the junk boat.
Well, that's
And
Midler's favourite. I
yeah,
won't
That
say
is,
much.
yeah.
Midler
We've
said
been
to me,
on that
"Oh,
too.
we're going
Yeah,
to
we
the
went
junk
many years
boat."
ago on the. We rented a little boat. They were catching like crabs, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was just like the picturesque, like with the
yeah.
what do you call
And
that? Like the
squid,
cars fly.
you can throw a thing over the sides to catch a bit of squid. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
so
yeah.
relaxing.
Squid.
And the reason that
Yeah.
the girls added that to the trip was, once we sort of leave Hanoi, it was a great way because we do a conference in Hanoi. What is
Yeah,
a great way of people, on the trip down there is to get the people, sort of gel together. Then when you get on the
yeah.
boat, it's so relaxing that
It is.
everybody just sit around and it's like one giant mastermind after another, and people can
Yeah,
actually go on the in a canoe, and they can go onto the little get off the boat and go onto the little islands, and there's like little big caves and things you can go and but it's just so relaxing, and so it takes you away from the business culture for a little bit.
yeah,
But although you're with a bunch of guys who are eager entrepreneurs and always want to talk
yeah,
about products that they saw or they're going to
yeah,
see or they want to
When
see along the way. So
yeah,
it's
Yeah.
great way
Let
to sort
me,
of
why
meet.
don't I just
yeah.
play the video? I was
yeah, it only
thinking, let
takes
me
a couple
just
of
play
minutes.
the
It's really short.
video.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just take a couple of minutes. And that really gives people a good idea of what goes on. Yeah.
Maybe you can sing while I got the video on, Megla.
It's got music.
Music, Mark?
No, we can't hear the volume. Oh, I might have my volume down. No, hang on, it might be.
Yeah.
No.
No. Well, that's okay. It's just music.
Zen.
So
Oh, right.
that's, yeah. There's some of the factories that we visited. This was an information session on the junk boat. That was Ben, Lynn Sundin. This is the best thing that I like about visiting factories and going to the source, whether it's China, Vietnam, India. You can touch and feel products. That just speeds up the process significantly because when you're sourcing online, you have to wait for samples for a couple of weeks, and then you're not happy with them, and then send another sample. It can take weeks or even months to get samples. But when you're at a trade show or visiting a factory, you can just see thousands and thousands of products at the same time. It's
And
just
also
speeds up the process.
the factory visits, Megla, the owner is more than likely always there. The high managers are
Yeah.
there, so you can have sort of high level conversations, and sort of see if it's a good fit. If it's something that you want to do, and that factory is a good fit by talking to those people at those levels.
Yeah. So that's the global sourcing trade show that we visit. And they had a good, it's not a very big trade show. It's probably going to have about 400 to 500 exhibitors, but very, export focused, good variety of products. That's quality control. So we had a session on quality control. That was
There's
somebody
Megla.
from Global Sources that we did. Yeah.
There's Helen Bay.
And that's Halong Bay, Victory Star.
Megla,
We're on the way
couldn't
to the junk
understand
boat.
why we call that a junk boat. because it
I
doesn't
know. I was like,
doesn't look junk.
it does not look like a junk boat. And then we can go off to explore these caves and also do some kayaking. That was fun.
There you go.
Yeah. So it's a business come leisure trip, right? You have both, a bit of
A
both.
little, yeah.
And of course, in Ho Chi Minh City, we do a Saigon River cruise, and the food is absolutely amazing. There we go. So I think we have run over time here. We're supposed to go for 1 hour, but cool. So that's it from us, guys. I mean, check out both events. Both events are, of course, going to really help you in your business. It's going to, help you source better and sell more in terms of, your overall e-commerce sales. So check out both trips. Will John Paladin join as well? No, John is not joining this trip. John basically sources from India, so he'll be most probably joining our October trip to India. So, yeah. Cool. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, spring
No.
rolls coming my way.
Spring rolls and sushi in Japan.
Sushi.
We got plenty of sushi over here. Please join
Yeah,
us.
definitely like to come to Japan one day, Gary, and sort of try that sushi firsthand. I know when I've tried sushi here in Australia or whatever, it's it's beautiful cuisine.
It's on a whole nother level in Japan. I mean, we could go to some great places. So welcome to join.
I am
I'm John's customer. Happy with him. Awesome. Well, John, you've got a plug. Cool.
If anyone
Awesome,
doesn't know,
guys.
John Paladin is has an FBM warehouse in Jacksonville.
Yeah. Who will be in Japan Mastermind, Gary?
Okay, so Oksana, we will have 8-figure seller Bernie Thompson. He will be speaking. He has over 10 years experience selling in Japan. 7-figure seller Nick Katz will be speaking as well. He'll be sharing about the roadmap selling into Japan. We'll have import compliance specialists. So if you have any questions about regulations, what types of tests you need to do, we have those specialists as well. We'll have localization experts. We'll have experts also not only selling on Amazon, but also this is new, selling on Rakuten. Rakuten is the number 2 biggest e-commerce platform, so you'll be able to learn that as well. We're also working on getting sourcing in Japan. I haven't even added it to the website. This is new because several people asked me, can we learn how to source in Japan? So we have a speaker that will show you how to source products in Japan. Almost nobody is doing that. So if you're able to get these unique products, made in Japan, I don't think anyone else, very few people will be able to compete in the world against that. We're still adding new speakers. We're confirming new speakers. If there's anyone you would like to see, please reach out to me. You can email me email me at Gary at 8020 sourcing. If you can add that in the chat, Gary at 8020sourcing.com. And William's coming to Japan. So yes, thank you for joining us, William. We will see you in Japan.
Awesome.
Good on you, William. And Gary, I'll get you to source a Toyota Land Cruiser for me while you're there.
Okay. You're going to put the bill, right? You're going to a nice success fee for me. Let me know what color you want. Let me know what color you want, Kevin. All right.
Touch, Gary. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Judge is also interested in Japan. So yeah, I guess you can, get the bundle offer and reach out to me. I mean, it looks like you're also interested in the India trip. We'd be happy to offer you, a discount on the India and Japan Mastermind as well. So our India trip is coming up in October. But if you are sure that you want to attend the India trip and you want to attend Japan Mastermind too, we'd be happy to look into that. And, instead of the Vietnam trip, offer you a discount on the India trip. So reach out to me on Messenger, or I'll put in the email address over here as well. you can reach out to us at info@indiasourcing.net. Gary, do you want to just type in your email address as well if you want to?
Yes, I'm having trouble putting it in the comments. Can you guys help me again with the email address?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
I'll
it's
put it in the
just
private
Gary
chat.
at 8020 sourcing, right?
8020sourcing.com.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. I will just put it in there.
You've had that one for a long time, Gary, haven't you?
Yeah. I've been doing this since like 2016.
Yeah.
When is the Vietnam trip?
I'm like the old man in this whole space. I
Just
guess.
minutes ago. Okay, so Vietnam trip, there are two options. One is the full trip from April 17th to the 26th. And then the second option is to join a shorter trip, which is from the 22nd to the 26th. 22nd to the 26th.
Yeah, you'll get a recording of all this and you'll get all that information. It's near the end, just probably 5 minutes before you join. You should be able to get all that information.
Yeah. So shoot us an email at either info@indiasourcing.net or, shoot an email to Gary and let's talk. To me, Gary is genius. Yes, absolutely. We agree.
Thank you. I hope that we can. I'm doing everything I can to help you guys, in the e-com world. So that helps motivate me. And yeah, if you have any questions, please let us know. Thank you.
Cool.
Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce
thanks.
your name. I think Chutide Jip. Thank you.
GP.
Well, is that Japanese? Something in Japanese.
Cool. All right, so let's wrap up over here. We've gone way over time. 35 minutes way over time. So, he's the Thai seller. Interesting.
Thai seller.
Interesting. Sawadee Kap.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, Vietnam and Japan are right in your neighborhood, your backyard.
Yeah, and Thailand has a
living
free
in
trade
Hong Kong.
agreement with.
Living in Hong Kong.
I live in Hong Kong.
Okay. Yes.
You can speak Chinese. Gary, you can say something in Chinese now as well.
Yeah, I don't want to like hog the conversation. I know we're over time, but yeah, this is good stuff. Thank you.
Cool. All right, guys, thanks a lot for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in Vietnam as well as in Japan. And he's a 7-figure this year. That's awesome.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
Let's
well
make it
done.
8 figures.
Last year was 896,000.
Woohoo.
Amazing.
All right, you should really, if you haven't sold in Japan yet, you should really consider it. I mean, they'll be perfect for you, someone like you.
Yes.
Please send me an email.
All right,
Let's
guys,
talk.
let's wrap up. And
Thanks for your
cool.
time.
Thanks
today,
a lot,
Gary.
everyone, for joining. Yeah, thanks for your time today.